Welcome to another edition of Jazz Smack. Tonight, the Jazz traveled to Detroit and played the Pistons, and they gave it a good fight, kept it close most of the game, and we are starting to see more and more positive signs from our good friend Ace Bailey. Let's talk about it.
Jazz Smack, NBA and Utah Jazz basketball.
So Ace, tonight, he plays 19 minutes, and he continues to get more and more time each game. So tonight, he plays 19 minutes. He goes 3 for 6 from the field, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. He gets 4 rebounds. He commits 5 fouls, but that's to be expected. We can expect that. That's not going to change anytime in the near future. He's going to struggle on defense at times. But the comfort level that we're seeing on the court is better and better. It's going back to some of the comfort that we saw him taking those mid-range shots in those early preseason games where he looked so good. We're starting to see that comfort level come back. You know, he was sick. He had to get his legs underneath him. He seems to be doing that. And the good thing is he's going to continue to get expanded role. Now, we know what happened with Walker, but that means that the others step up and they get more of a role. Now, there's 3 young guys that are in line to get more of a role with the Utah Jazz as a result of Walker's injury. And those guys are all forwards. There's Kyle Filipowski, there's Taylor Hendricks, and then Ace Bailey at the small forward. He should get more time. And we all expected him to get more and more time as he got comfortable. Now he's going to be kind of forced into that in this particular situation because of an injury. But it looks like he's going to embrace that. And that's what we want to see. We just want to see growth. We want to see more and more playing time for him, better and better play, more and more comfort level. I love the mid-range stuff. He took some of those tonight. He made some. But that's the most important thing. We just want to see him playing and growth. And it looks like, from all indications, he's going to get that moving forward. I don't foresee him, unless something goes really bad in a couple of games here and there. But he's placing forth enough effort that I think that Will Hardy is really happy with the effort. He's going to make some mistakes. He's not going to be anywhere close to perfect, but the effort's there, so I think he's going to continue to get playing time.
Yeah, I do too. The thing that got us all really excited in the preseason about Ace, it wasn't that all the shots were going in, and the shots were going in. He shot, an abnormally high percentage in the preseason. It's just the fluidity and the comfort he had on the court. And he's starting to show more and more of that in these games. You see, he'll do a drop-off pass to a player. You'll see he'll play a great defensive play. You'll see he'll get a rebound in traffic. You're seeing all of those things that just shows look, this guy's got some natural abilities that are just very unique at his age and is long and athletic, et cetera. And so it's really exciting to see. I think the Jazz, you got to have the next man up mentality. And the reality is when unfortunate things happen to your team, which, happened to the Jazz, it's an opportunity for other guys. Like Kyle wasn't getting as many shots as you and I wanted him to get. Now, Kyle, you think is going to get more shots. Ace is going to get more time. Kyle's going to have a chance to play center and power forward. He's going to have a chance to develop his defensive skills on both, even though you and I believe he's a power forward long-term, or maybe even a small forward long-term. So, you got to look at the positives in all of this, but I was really excited about Ace today. And I think in all of these, we're just looking at these glimmers of things that we can take away from the games and see hope and drive and improvement in our team.
Yeah, and another thing on the defensive end for Ace, we can see him being overpowered physically right now. And Ace is going to have to do a lot of growth in that area in the offseason with getting stronger. Right now, he's just growing into his body right now. And certainly at the NBA level, for rookie season, second year out of high school, he's going to be overpowered physically when he's playing against some of these other guys, like Thompson or something like that. He just doesn't have the physical strength to deny those guys. I mean, he can get in position with his quickness, but to deny guys, using physical strength, he's going to struggle with that this season. That's something that he's going to have to address in the offseason. And obviously, we saw what happened with Taylor. His body transformed. We don't want Ace to be huge. We don't want that. But certainly just improving his strength, not necessarily adding a ton of weight, but improving his strength is going to help him immensely on the defensive end of the court.
Yeah, and I saw a couple things with that. Is that I noticed the other day, like, Keontae's jacked, right? I mean, he came in really thin too. Like, we saw him in college. You said he reminds you of Darren Williams because he was kind of overweight, etc. He lost all of that coming into the NBA draft, but he was really thin and skinny. He's like really added a lot. So, the Jazz have this training facility that all the young guys are hanging out with over the offseason. They've all put on serious bulk. It's going to be the same with Ace. It's fine. Right? Curry came in really thin, and now he's like, he's not LeBron, right? But these guys learned that to survive in this league, they got to do. So that's an off-season project. To me, that's not what he's doing in the season. It's an off-season project. And like, I heard this comment that you made a great point, which I love. Right now, all of these guys like Ace are just trying to get comfortable. We should not, like, Ace did not put up a three-pointer tonight. Honestly, I'm okay with that. Even if you're looking at the metrics and you're saying, like, look, you should shoot more three-pointers, let's make the guy comfortable in in the NBA environment against all good players. Let's get him comfortable doing that, doing what he feels comfortable with, and then expand his game from there. So I'm actually fine if he shoots 0 3-pointers as long as he gets more and more comfortable with the game, because I think the three-point shot will come. I mean, we've seen he can hit the three-point shot. He's very smooth on it. But let's get him comfortable with what he feels most comfortable with right now.
Yeah, I think it helps the guys to have improved field goal percentage right now. If they just start hoisting threes and seeing all those missed shots, I think they're better off getting confidence by seeing the ball go through the basket. And that means more twos, especially for Ace. Ace is more comfortable shooting the two at this point than he is shooting the three. And I would rather him, and quite frankly, I'm a big fan of the mid-range game. I think that's how you separate yourself from every other team in the NBA. That's how Oklahoma City is able to separate themselves on the offensive end from all the other teams. They are the master of the mid-range game. Ace has that ability. He even says that his bread and butter is the mid-range game. I hope the Jazz embrace that moving forward, and I'd like to see him become more of that guy, because I think you have one of those guys. Cade Cunningham is that guy. Cade Cunningham is awesome in the mid-range game. That's one of the huge advantages the Detroit Pistons have. They are one of the few teams in the NBA that has one of those guys. So I think that's another really positive thing that Ace can provide to the Jazz that the Jazz really did not have until the arrival of Ace.
Yeah, I think the other thing with the mid-range game is by the analytics, it's not great. But you know what the mid-range game, for somebody who's good at it, does? It gets free throws. So Shea is to the free throw line constantly. Keontae this year has not hit his three-point shot, but he's got to the free throw line a ton, and it's all in like drives and like mid-range game, like people fouling on those type of things. And so that's where Ace could become an efficient player as well, by not only taking those, but also getting fouled on some of those shots and getting to the free throw line. So I think I agree with you. It's a very underrated part of the game, because everybody is now looking at the analytics and trying to play the same style of basketball. And I really like the fact that he does play that. And I also think then you don't have the highs and lows where, Boston the other day was a good example. They're, like you talked about it after the podcast that I wasn't able to join. How many three-pointers did Boston hit in that? Like 10 out of 50 or something like
11
that?
11 out of 51. They missed 40.
Yeah, and so you don't, like the mid-range, you're not going to do that poorly on your shooting any one particular night. And so their next night, they may hit 28. But then they have a dog game where they hit 11 and they lose the game because of that. I mean, that was the reason they lost that game, is they just could not hit a 3-point shot. And with the mid range, you don't have as much of those. So I really like that too. I'm really excited to see him play. The other guy I was going to say that may get more time, if Kyle flips over to center, which honestly, I really don't want to see Kyle play center. But if he does flip over and play more center, I think Cody's going to get some more time too, because people will, he'll be coming in the small forward probably. But if Kyle's not taking one of the forward slots, then maybe he'll get some more time, which would make me very happy.
I still want to see Cody play. I mean, I want this season to be, more than anything, I want it to be about defense. I want to see the perimeter defensive effort improve. I want to see the perimeter defensive technique improve, and I want to see the perimeter defensive schemes improve. I want to see all that, and Cody's a big part of that. I mean, if Cody doesn't fill into that type of role with the Jazz, then I don't see huge improvement in the perimeter defense for the Jazz. I think that for the Jazz perimeter defense to improve meaningfully, Cody needs to be part of that. Now, whether he can do that or not, we'll see. I mean, nobody knows at this point. Like, we haven't seen it in the court. We apparently haven't seen it in practice. Otherwise, he would be getting time on the court. So we'll see. We'll see if he's able to fill that role. But that's the role that I really want Cody Williams to provide with this current Jazz team, this squad, with this roster. He needs to be an impact perimeter defender.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else. You pointed this out, is to start out with. The Jazz were competitive in this game. They were competitive in the Boston game and won the game. They weren't competitive in the two games prior to that, but I'm very encouraged by the fact they're coming in fighting and are competitive. To me as fans right now with this team where they are, that's what we hope for. That they're in games, they're competitive, they're playing defense, they're trying, they're doing, and I'm very encouraged by these last two games. And not easy. This is a good Detroit team. Like, let's be just very frank about it. This is a good Detroit team. And
Okay, we lost him for a minute. But yeah, this is a very good Detroit team. And Cade Cunningham is playing really well. And the thing about the Detroit Pistons this season, Detroit is terrific on the defensive end. That is their bread and butter as well. So to have a struggle against the Detroit Pistons offensively, which the Jazz did tonight. I mean, the Jazz shot 38.4% from the field, but Detroit's defense is terrific. And they displayed that tonight. I mean, the Jazz scored 103 points. And from the 3-point range, the Jazz shot 31%, which is about what their 3-point percentage has been on the year. But yeah, that Detroit Pistons team is absolutely great, especially on the defensive end with Duran and Smith. I mean, those guys, Duran is a monster. That dude is one. He's one of the strongest guys in the entire league. I mean, he's really good. And that's what they are built around, that, and then having Cade Cunningham making difficult shots from the mid-range down the stretch. That's how that team is winning. So I thought the overall effort tonight, all things considered, considering, they just played in Boston, I thought it was actually really good. So I'm really pleased with the outcome. Like I said, what we want is we want the games to be competitive so they learn from it. If they're always getting blown out, it's a lot more difficult to learn. If they're in these games and it's competitive in the fourth quarter, those are much better learning experiences, vastly better.
Yeah. You pointed out Jalen Duran. You and I were kind of down on Cade Cunningham because he turned the ball over a lot for his assists, but Cade Cunningham's great. I mean, he's a great player, and he's a young player too, so he's just going to keep getting better. Thompson is great, right? I mean, both of those Thompson kids, are just they awesome. I'll say this: Keontae abused White the other night. you didn't talk a lot about this. Like White could not stay with Keontae. Now, I don't know if that's because White is overrated defensively or Keontae is just good or a combination of all those. Thompson was all over Keontae. I mean, Thompson is great. And his offensive is improving. Like, man, I wish we were in the running to get, to have a shot at getting one of those brothers.
Yeah, both those guys are really good draft picks. I mean, they're so competitive. They're so strong. They're so athletic. I mean, they have good size. I mean, those guys are both terrific players, especially on the defensive end. And you need those type of guys. If you want to compete for a title, you got to have those guys on your teams. So I commend both the Houston Rockets and Detroit Pistons for making those draft selections, because both those guys are absolutely really, really positive influences for both those teams. I mean, and they're very young.
Yeah, and being, let's face it, being bad enough those years that they were in a position to draft, which is, part of the NBA strategy, right? Is that you lose enough games that you have a higher odds of going up. Well, I checked Cooper Flagg's stats today. He's struggling, and look, every rookie does. But the guy I've actually is really standing out is VJ Edcombe. I mean, he's played well, and as a rookie, a young guy as a rookie, I'm thoroughly impressed with him, because a lot of these other rookies are struggling, which they all do, but he's really stood out. So it's we'll see if he cares for the season. And I know if you got Maxey there and some of the other guys, the pressure's off of you, but he's really kind of stood out. And Flagg, I think, will come around too. I mean, I think Flagg's going to be a great player, but he's going through the rookie blues like they all do.
Flagg there's so much on that guy's plate. I mean, they're trying to turn him into, Jason Kidd is trying to turn Cooper Flagg into a point forward type, Scottie Pippen type role. And so he's trying to run the offense. His shooting is a work in progress. He had really good percentages at Duke, but that sideways rotation on that jump shot is a problem, and he's going to have to address that. So his shooting is a work in progress. He's trying to learn how to run a team. And I mean, let's also remember with Cooper Flagg, that guy reclassified his high school in order to get, he would be a freshman at Duke right now had he not reclassified. So he reclassified, and his youth, the guy is he's been placed into a situation where he's just under enormous pressure. So I think that I'm still high on Cooper Flagg, but it's going to take time. I don't know of any other rookie that's been placed in that kind of situation with so much on his plate. And Dallas is not looking to lose this year. Dallas wants to be competitive, which is another thing, why Cooper a lot is so much is resting on that guy's shoulders. I mean, if he isn't good, Dallas isn't going to be competitive. So he has to be good. At some point in the season, he has to be good.
Yeah. And I'm not being negative on Cooper Flagg. What I'm saying is that Cooper Flagg is just like every other rookie. It's really challenging. And, it's not only that he's a rookie in there. He's playing with a guy like Klay Thompson, where Klay is struggling this year. Klay's now 36 years old. But Klay has expectations of how he's treated, how many shots he gets, etc. So Cooper's trying to navigate that. He's got Anthony Davis that came in heavy into camp, all-star, all-NBA player. He's got that to deal with. He's got D'Angelo Russell, which wherever he goes, he plays well, but then the team is happy to move off of D'Angelo Russell. So there's got to be something there. He's dealing with that. So it's a very tough position which the kid is in. It's really hard to step into that. And as you said, what I was saying is, let's not push Ace to shoot 3-point shots. It's probably, your comment on Cooper is probably the same. And Jason Kidd is look, let's just get him comfortable in the NBA and then expand his skill set from there. Yeah. And it's so man, you're going against guys. You imagine there's no off nights. Every night you're going against a guy that's one of the best athletes, one of the best players in the world. There's no off nights. Everybody can shoot now in the NBA. Everybody's got skills. They got handles, etc. man, to step into that. And then the expectations on this guy, oh yeah, you're going to be a superstar right away. Like he was already put in the top 100 players, like before playing a minute. I mean, that's really tough on any of these guys.
Yeah, there's going to be an adjustment period. I mean, we're like 6, 7 games into the season. There's definitely an adjustment period for all these guys, and Ace is in that, Cooper's in that. Edgecombe is playing really well right now. Certainly, Philly is off to a fantastic start. They lost last night in Chicago against the Bulls. The Bulls were down big, but they came back. Maxey had an awesome first half. The second half, in that fourth quarter, Maxey fell apart. He missed all his shots, and the Bulls came back. That was a really fun game. But back to the point is these young guys, and I think this is a really, really good draft class, in all honesty. I think it's turned out to be really good. Like one of the better draft classes we had in a while, because I think there are a lot of guys in here that are going to end up being good players. And I think Ace is in that, Cooper's in that, VJ's in that. There are a number of guys. There's that the guy in Memphis. I don't even remember his name, but I think he's playing well. So there are a number of guys, but to be really good, to be positive impact players, to impact a game to where they're making a difference in winning, that's a whole nother story. Because that for most rookies, that does not happen in their rookie season. It's very rare that one of those guys has that big of an impact on actually winning games, because it just takes time.
Yeah, and one guy you didn't mention is the other Jazz player, Walter Clayton Jr. Walter Clayton had a good night tonight. No rebounds, but 6 assists. Walt's going to be a player. I got to tell you, he's already 22. He's older, but he's going to be a player. We got to steal with Walt, but he's had a couple of games that are really tough. Let's face it. He's had a couple of games where he's really struggled, and that's going to be throughout the year for him. But he's just like Ace. He's got something. You see it right away. I mean, some guys, it takes years to kind of see it. With these two guys, you see it right away. Does it mean they're going to be NBA rotation players? Well, I think so, but I don't know for sure. But, I am really bullish on the guy, and I thought he played a good game tonight. Yeah,
well, I thought there were some real positives on offense, and he had some assists. I mean, he racked up 6 assists tonight. Still, on the defensive end, he's going to have some struggles, and that's where his biggest improvement needs to come from. I mean, the ball handling stuff, we know he needs to improve there, but defensively, he's undersized. He's going to be playing against bigger players a lot, so he needs to learn. And Will Hardy continues to encourage him more and more effort and those things. And so I think he's going to grow into that, but we'll see. And this is one of the interesting things about this season. We're going to see if Walt and Ace, how they grow into it and how they improve on the defensive end, because we want to see the Jazz play better defense.
Yeah. Well, and let me talk about that, because I pulled some stats for you, to think about. But we said we weren't going to look at the player, their stats versus last year, to 15 or 20 games. We're now into 7, so I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to I pulled the defensive and offensive rating for the Utah Jazz for this year, last year, the year before, and the year before that. Let me just tell you these numbers, because, it's interesting, because this year we're clearly taking an emphasis on defense and offense, but really trying to hone in defense. And first thing is, if people don't know what offensive and defensive rating mean, because I think people throw out these statistics, one of the guys that does podcasts talks about the D LeBron rating. Oh, I love the D LeBron rating. Well, do you even know what the D LeBron rating is, right? I mean, you should have some sense. Offensive rating is per 100 possessions, how many points do you score? Defensive rating is per 100 possessions, how many points do you allow? And so it's not a perfect proxy of good defense and good offense. Why? Because if you're a running team, you tend to have a higher offensive rating because you get easy baskets. The flip side of that, if you're a running team, you probably allow in transition defensive baskets. So depending on the style of a play, it does affect these. But right now, the Jazz defensive rating is 20th in the league. Last year, it was 30th. The year before that, it was 30th. And the year before that was 23rd. So far this year, we have made strides from where we were the last year. And I think, look, it's 7 games in, but we've made strides as a team. Which players have made strides? I don't know overall. Did we make strides because we got rid of bad defensive players, and Colin, Jordan, and John Collins? Maybe some of that, but I think we made some strides there. Offensively, we're 24th in the league. Last year, we were 24th in the league. The year before that, we were 18th in the league. And the year before that, we were 9th in the league in offense. So interestingly, our team has been represented as kind of like an offensive, oriented team, like being good on offense. We're good. We're as good as we were last year, but we actually are not standing out offensively as much as you would think we would have. When we had more veterans 4 years ago, we were 9th in the league in offense. But it's kind of tapered off since then, and we're flat from where we were last year.
It makes sense. Like, once we got rid of the veteran players, the offensive numbers, I would presume, would decline. I mean, and then we're with, especially, Clarkson's still playing a significant role, and we know how the efficiency struggles that Jordan has undergone the last few years. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that the Knicks, I like Jordan, but I'm surprised the Knicks pursued him. And because of his efficiency numbers, the struggles that he's just experienced these last few years, just putting the ball in the basket. So, it's interesting. And we'll see what happens, halfway through the season and then towards the end of the season too, with the numbers. Do they stabilize somewhere, and do we see long-term improvement, or are we looking short-term? And then there's always the Walker Kessler factor too, that with those defensive numbers, now that Walker's out, is that going to negatively impact those numbers as well? So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to follow along and see if the group and the coaches can get better on that end of the court.
Yeah, and why don't we end on talking about Walker Kessler, because there's a whole separate video did on Walker Kessler. We both love Walker Kessler. We're very bullish on him. We want him on our team, etc. It was hard to hear what happened to him today. We wish Walker the best. Honestly, I hope the organization does a solid by him, because he's going to be in a tougher restricted free agent market at the end of the season. I hope the organization really steps up, because Walker can play basketball and is a very unique player. The guys on NBA Front Office today, or one of the guys, because he has his own show, said Walker's going to walk away with this year shooting 75% from the three-point line. And you can't take that away from him, because he's not going to shoot any more three-point shots. So I thought it was like a positive way to look at it, is that. But the fact is, he took 8 three-point shots this year, and he hit 6 of them. So, and he hit a higher percentage of his free throws. So something, Walker, you did great. You really worked hard in the offseason. You looked great. I really look forward to seeing you back in a Jazz uniform with a new contract next year.
Yeah, and what I tried to explain in that other video was there are a number of scenarios here that we have to look at with Walker. Walker was counting on, since they didn't come to a contract extension agreement, he was counting on being able to demonstrate to the Jazz and all the other teams in the league that he was capable of earning a $30 million a year contract. So it was on him to demonstrate that this year. And now he's not going to be able to do that. He's going to be in a restricted free agency, having been out an entire year. And now he has to go out in the open market, and see what his market value is with other teams. And so he might be in a situation where, we'll see what the Jazz do with him. They're going to give him a qualifying offer in mid-June that's around $6 million, but they can still give him something else. But we'll see what happens with that. It could be a situation where Walker says, I'm not getting the contract I want, so I'll play out my qualifying offer year and just go into unrestricted free agency. And that's one of the routes that he could take. But, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Jazz or somebody is going to I think he's going to end up back on the Jazz. I think he's going to end up with a decent contract, maybe not $30 million a year, because that's a lot. But I think he's going to end up with a 4-year, 100 around there, and that's good security for Walker, and I think both parties will be happy. So I think that Walker will be back with the Jazz. I just don't think that it's he was put in a really tough position, but supposedly he got this injury all the way back at Auburn. So maybe now he's going to finally get fixed, and it allows him to actually even grow more than what he is if it's bothered him this much for this long.
Yeah, I just hope so. The one thing I think about both of the ownerships of the last Jazz is you and I have difference of opinions, I think, in both ownership groups and how we would do certain things. Many fans do, right? But that's fine. We have differing views. The one thing I think about these ownership groups is I think they both do their players well. And, I think they will step up for Walker and give him something even though he was hurt. So I really hope that that's the case. Because, it was really tough to see what happened to some of these free agents this year, these restricted free agents. The guy that I mentioned, the team, VJ Encom playing basketball. You know who else playing great on that team? Quentin Grimes. What's Quentin Grimes playing for this year? $6 million, $7. I mean, it's some ridiculous amount. He's playing great basketball. Now, I don't know if there's a fit for all three of them, Maxey, Grimes, etc. But he's playing better than Edgecombe, even though Edgecombe is starting. He doesn't have the defensive abilities of Edgecombe, but his offensive numbers are better. I mean, he's a good basketball player, and honestly, that market is so tough right now in the NBA that I feel really bad for these guys. But honestly, he's going to be a free agent, and somebody's going to give him a nice contract. So let's just hope that the Jazz step up, because I don't want Walker being in Grimes' position where he takes $6 million, plays for a year, and then never comes back to the Jazz, after that.
Yeah, I don't want him in that situation either. And we all remember there was that center for the Dallas Mavericks. He's from Kentucky. He played at Kentucky. I can't remember what his name was, but I think that he was in this situation with Walker, and the Mavericks had offered him 4 years, $80 million, and he turned it down because he thought he was disappointed at that offer. And so he and his representation, they turned it down. They went in, if I remember this correctly, he played it out. They went into unrestricted free agency. Well, that was the biggest financial mistake of that guy's life, because he never even got close to that number. Yeah. I mean, and then he was out of the league a few years later because he really wasn't that good. Now, Walker's an entirely different story because Walker is good, and he deserves a good, nice contract. He's much better than that Dallas Mavericks player that I'm talking about. But he's just been put in a tough situation because of the injury, and we don't want to see that, because we want to see Walker with the Utah Jazz long term. So I hope that they can come to some sort of an agreement this summer, and whether he has to go out in a restricted free agency and get a contract on another team, I mean, I hope it's good enough to where he's happy with it, at least satisfied with it, where it's a good number for both he and the Jazz.
Yeah, I agree. And another guy that did it was Dennis Schroeder, right? When he was on the Lakers, wasn't he offered $80 or $90 million, and he said no, and then he bounced around, et cetera. So it does happen to players. I just hope that doesn't happen to Walker, because, look, we all want to maximize our money. Let's just be honest. If we were in Walker's shoes, we'd try to do the same thing. He has an unfortunate injury. He's still going to be a great player. He's working really hard. We want him on our team. So I hope they do him a solid, both parties, and they come to a number that makes sense for both parties this offseason. But we wish you well, Walker. We're really looking to see you back on the court. Yeah,
that's another thing that we can look forward to already for next season, and that we'll see Walker back with the team, and he can still gain a lot of knowledge from Nurkic during this season, in practice, hang out, having Nurkic talk to him, all these things. And he can still work on skill development too, between the time that, after his rehab to a point where, he can work on individual skill development between the point where the rehab takes effect and he's able to get on the court again, start doing work on the court again until next season starts. He's going to have a big chunk of time where he can improve more. So next year should be a really big year for Walker Kessler.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to call it quits for this edition of Jazz Smack. So those watching on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow us on X at Jazz Smack, and we will talk to everybody later.